Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about men. We are not always the best at putting love into words. We struggle with expression. We weren't raised to talk about feelings. We were raised to provide, to protect, to survive. So when a man falls in love, real love, it can catch him off guard. It can shake him to his core. And sometimes he's more in love with you than he can even imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. A lot of people confuse love with words. They think love is about how many times somebody says, I love you, or how sweet he can talk when things are good. But real love, the kind that stays, the kind that matters, it don't always sound poetic. It shows up in ways most folks overlook. Love reveals itself not through how loud he talks, but how consistently he shows up. That's the truth. A man who loves you might not be a wordsmith. He might not wake up every day and give you a hallmark moment. But what he does do, what he always does, is show you. He's there when you need him. He's there even when you don't ask. He learns your patterns. He pays attention to what you need. And he doesn't do that once in a while. He does it always. Consistency is love's greatest proof. If a man is there for you through the ups, the downs, the silence, the confusion, that ain't just a habit. That's devotion. You see, a man can say a lot, but it's what he keeps doing that tells the truth. He keeps checking on you. He keeps making time even when he's tired. He keeps remembering the little things that matter to you. That's what love looks like from a man who's serious. It's not always romantic in the way you might expect, but it's real and it's steady. A man who loves you with consistency is a man who values you deeper than he can say. Let me put it like this. Talk is easy. Anyone can whisper sweet nothings in your ear. Anyone can come around when things are fun and easy. But a man in love with you, the kind of love that grows roots, shows up when it's not convenient. He doesn't disappear when life gets busy. He doesn't flake when you're having a bad day. He stands beside you, not because he has to, but because he can't imagine being anywhere else. You won't have to chase his attention. You won't have to beg for his time, because he gives it freely, and not just one time to impress you, every time, because that's who he is when he's in love. And sometimes he doesn't even realize just how deeply he's showing his love through that effort. He just knows he wants to be there. He wants to support you. He wants to protect your peace. That's love in action. That's consistency. You ever see a man who don't say much, but he always makes sure your car's got gas? He remembers how you like your coffee. He holds your hand not just in public, but when nobody's around. That's a man who's letting his love speak through actions, because somewhere deep inside him, he knows that words can fade, but habits last. And if his habit is taking care of you, looking out for you, showing up for you, then baby, that man is more in love with you than he might even realize. And what's beautiful about that kind of love is it doesn't need to be asked for. It's automatic. It becomes who he is. Because when a man truly loves, he makes you part of his rhythm. He don't have to be reminded to call. He don't have to be begged to spend time. He chooses you every day, quietly, steadily, loyally. That's the difference between a man who likes the idea of love and a man who lives it. And you'll see it not when times are easy, but when things get hard. That's when his love stands tall. That's when his consistency becomes his loudest declaration. Not in I love you text, but in I'm here actions. That's how you know he's more in love with you than he can put into words, because he's showing it in every way that counts. Sure, here's the expanded version of Keynote 2. Men often feel deeper than they express. Silence isn't lack of love. In Steve Harvey's tone, with 695 words, no subheadings, no conclusion, and no ladies and gentlemen at the beginning. Most women don't understand how much a man can feel and still say nothing. They assume if he ain't saying it, he ain't feeling it. But let me tell you something right now. Just because a man is silent doesn't mean he doesn't care. Just because he's not sitting there pouring his heart out in perfect sentences doesn't mean his heart isn't full of love for you. That silence, that stillness, that quiet presence you feel from him, sometimes that's love working behind the scenes. A man can feel so deeply for a woman and never have the words for it because the way we were raised, the world taught us to be strong, to be steady, to protect and provide, not to express, not to open up, not to cry when we're overwhelmed with emotion. So when a man loves a woman deeply, it often gets trapped inside him. Not because he doesn't want to say it, but because he doesn't know how. A man can sit in a room with you, not say much, but be having a whole war inside his soul over how much he wants to make you happy. He's thinking about how to make you feel safe, how to fix the things that stress you, how to build a life with you. He's not always going to speak it, but he's always going to feel it. And here's the thing. He's not being distant. He's just scared of saying it wrong. A man who loves you doesn't want to disappoint you. So sometimes, instead of saying the wrong thing, he says nothing, but you can still see it. You can see it in how his whole body relaxes when he's around you. You can feel it in how he listens to what you say, even when you think he's quiet. You can notice it in the way he looks at you when you're not paying attention. That man is feeling something he probably can't explain, and chances are it's love on a level he didn't expect. He may not tell his friends about it. He may not even tell you right away. But he's carrying you with him in his head, in his heart, in his daily choices. You'll notice he starts making changes, starts planning things without you asking, starts thinking about the future more than he used to. That's what love does to a man. It wakes him up. It shakes him a little, and it humbles him. It makes him sit quietly and wonder, how did I get this lucky? But instead of saying that out loud, he goes out and works harder. He stays loyal. He keeps showing up. That's how men talk when they're deeply in love, through presence, through action, through energy. When he holds your hand and doesn't let go in silence, that's not just comfort. That's his way of telling you, I need you. When he listens to your stories, even when they don't matter to anyone else, that's love sitting in patience. When he stays calm during your emotional storms and just lets you vent, that's not him being cold. It's him being a protector. It's him loving you without needing to be seen or praised for. And even when he messes up, even when he gets it wrong, if he comes back with effort, not just apology, that's a man who's feeling way more than he's ever said. He's not holding back because he doesn't feel it. He's holding back because he doesn't know if he's worthy. And let me tell you something, that kind of man, the one who feels deeply but stays silent, the one who struggles to say I love you, but lives it every day in what he does, that man is often more in love with you than he can imagine. And when that kind of man finally figures out how to say it and show it, all at once, he will love you with everything he's got in a way you've never seen before. A man doesn't always understand what he's got when he's got it, especially when it comes to love. Sometimes he thinks he's just enjoying your company, just spending time, just building something casual. But slowly, without him realizing it, you start to become more than just a part of his life. You start becoming his peace, his balance, his calm in the middle of everything else that's loud and chaotic in this world. And before he even puts a name to it, you've already become a priority in his mind, in his spirit, in his everyday routine. See, peace is something a man rarely gets to feel. We wake up grinding. We go to sleep worrying. We live in a constant pressure to perform, provide, survive. It's a tough world out there. And when a man comes across a woman who doesn't add to that pressure, but instead takes it off his shoulders, that's powerful. When you give him a space where he doesn't have to pretend, where he doesn't have to be tough all the time, where he doesn't feel judged or misunderstood, that's not just comfort, that's healing. And the truth is, he might not even know what to call it at first. All he knows is that when he's around you, his breathing slows down, his mind gets clearer, his temper calms, his day just feels better. That's what it means when a woman becomes a man's peace. And once a man starts associating peace with you, everything else in his life starts to shift around you. He starts thinking about how to make more time for you, how to keep you close, how to protect that feeling you give him. You don't even have to ask, it just starts happening. He begins to turn down noise that used to excite him. Other people, drama, distractions, because nothing compares to how grounded he feels with you. You become his safe place. And that's not something any man lets go of lightly. That's something a man will rearrange his whole life to keep. He might not say it at first. He might not look at you one morning and announce, "You're my peace and my priority," but he'll show it. He'll show it when he cancels plans just to spend quiet time with you. He'll show it when he starts listening deeper to what you say because now your voice brings him clarity. He'll show it when he checks in not out of obligation, but because knowing you're okay helps him stay okay. That's how a man behaves when he's slowly, quietly falling deeper than he expected to. And here's what's important to understand. He didn't even know he needed that peace until you gave it to him. He didn't realize how much noise he was carrying until you came in with silence. That didn't feel empty, it felt like home. You walked into his life and gave him rest without making him feel weak. You gave him comfort without him asking for it. And now, without even saying it out loud, he's putting you first, not because you told him to, not because you demanded it, but because his spirit made the decision before his mouth could catch up. And yes, he might still be figuring it out. He might still be putting his emotions in order, learning what this all means, but his behavior already knows the truth. He prioritizes peace now. He chooses you now. You're no longer just a part of his schedule. You're the reason he's even trying to build a future that looks different. He might not be able to put it into poetic words. He may still stumble when trying to express how deeply you've changed him, but trust me, deep down his heart already knows. You're his reset button. You're his calm after the storm. You're the reason his world feels less heavy. And that kind of woman, that kind of love, that becomes a man's greatest treasure, even if he hasn't fully realized it yet. People think love always comes in grand gestures, fancy dinners, big bouquets, expensive gifts, social media posts that scream, "Look at us." But I'm going to tell you something different today. Real love, the kind that sticks, the kind that builds a life, that love lives in the little things. It's not about what he says in public or what he posts for the world to see. It's about what he does when nobody's looking. It's the way he notices what you need before you even say it. It's in the quiet consistency, the everyday decisions. That's where the truth is. That's where love lives. You see, when a man truly loves a woman, he starts paying attention on a different level. He's not just hearing you, he's listening. He remembers how you like your coffee. He knows the song that calms you down when you're stressed. He notices when you're tired even before you mention it. He sends that text not because he's supposed to, but because he genuinely wants to check on your heart. That's a man who may not say, "I love you," every 5 minutes, but every action says it louder than any words ever could. You'll see it when he saves you the last bite of food, not thinking twice. When he warms up the car for you on a cold morning. When he watches your favorite show just because it makes you happy. It's in how he picks up the little things that make your life easier. The way he puts his phone down when you're talking. The way he walks on the side of the street closest to traffic. These aren't small acts. These are love speaking fluently without making a sound. Most people miss them because they're not flashy, but those are the bricks real relationships are built on. A man's love shows in the way he protects you even when you don't realize you need protection. He'll defend you when you're not around. He'll sacrifice sleep just to make sure you're okay. He'll do things that inconvenience him just to see you smile. You may not even know all the things he does behind the scenes, but trust and believe. If he loves you, he's thinking of ways to carry some of your weight without ever telling you that he's doing it. That's how you know he's serious, because love doesn't need a spotlight. It just needs action. Some men don't grow up seeing that kind of love. So when they fall in it, they don't always know how to say the right things, but they try. And they're trying, that's the biggest sign of all. When a man makes effort, even if he doesn't get it perfect, it means you've taken up space in his heart. You matter. And that little effort, that's how his love walks and talks. That's how you know it's different to him. He may not show love like you've seen in movies. He might not have the perfect timing, the perfect words, or the most poetic ways. But watch him. Watch how he looks at you when you're not looking. Watch how his whole mood changes when you're around. Watch how he starts planning around you, how he includes you in decisions, how he keeps showing up for you even when life gets hard. Those are the moments when love speaks the loudest. So if you're wondering how he really feels, stop listening to just what he says. Start watching what he does. Because those small things, the ones that seem routine, simple, even ordinary, they are anything but. They are the foundation, they are proof that you've entered his heart without needing permission. And now that you're there, he's doing everything he knows to keep you there, even if he doesn't always know how to say it. That's real love, and he speaks through the smallest things. When a man really falls in love, I'm talking about deep, real, heart on the line love, he starts to feel things he never expected. And a lot of times those feelings catch him off guard. Because the truth is, most men grow up being told not to show too much emotion. We're taught to be tough, to hold it in, to never let anyone see us sweat. So when love comes in and softens that armor, it shakes us. That's why you'll notice when a man really starts loving a woman, he starts to act different, not because he's confused, but because he's vulnerable, even if he's doing everything he can to hide it. Now, he may still walk around like he's got it all together. He may still joke, still act cool, still be the man everybody counts on. But inside, there's a softness that only shows up for you. He starts caring in a way that feels scary to him. He starts wondering what you think about him, worrying if he's enough, hoping he's not messing up. You become important on a level that makes him feel exposed. And that exposure, that's vulnerability. Not weakness, vulnerability. Because love is the only thing that can make a strong man feel nervous. That's how powerful it is. You'll see it in how he reacts when you're upset with him. It hits different. He might not show it with tears, but you'll feel it in his energy. You'll see the frustration on his face because he can't stand disappointing you. That's because when a man loves, your opinion of him matters more than anyone else's. He wants to be your hero, your protector, your rock. So when something goes wrong and he feels like he failed you, it hurts. Even if he tries to play it off, trust me, he's feeling it. He's just scared to admit how much, because doing that feels like taking off the armor he's worn his whole life. That's why some men go quiet when they're hurting. It's not because they don't care, it's because they don't know how to process it. A man in love becomes emotionally sensitive, but he doesn't always know the language to express what's happening. So instead of saying, I'm scared of losing you, he might pull away. Instead of saying, I need you, he might act like he's fine. But the signs are there if you look. He starts overthinking, starts planning ahead more, starts checking in more often. That's a man trying to protect what matters most to him, you. Sometimes a man will sit alone and think about the things he wishes he could tell you but can't find the words for. He'll play back your conversations. He'll wonder if he said the wrong thing. He'll stress about your happiness, not because he feels responsible for all of it, but because it matters to him more than his own. And if you've ever seen a man angry when something threatens his relationship, that's not just pride. That's fear. That's vulnerability wearing a mask. Because when a man loves, he becomes emotionally tied to you in a way that's hard for him to control. And being out of control, that's something most men fear more than anything else. But if you look past the surface, past the silence, the mood swings, the hesitation, you'll see the truth. You'll see a man who's letting down his walls slowly, who's learning how to love with his whole heart. You'll see a man who's scared, but choosing you anyway. That emotional vulnerability is not something he gives to just anyone. He gives it to the one who feels like home, the one he trusts enough to let see him in all his layers. Strong, scared, proud, protective, and yes, even broken in places. That's when you know it's real. That's when you know he's in deeper than he's ever been before. A man can go through his whole life meeting women who look good, women who make him laugh, women who excite him for a season, but the woman who brings him stability, that woman is unforgettable. That's the woman he holds on to in his heart long after the moment has passed, long after the crowd disappears, long after he's matured enough to realize what really matters. Because let me tell you something, beauty fades, excitement dies down, chemistry comes and goes, but stability places peace. People's, peacemakers hate, peacemakers make peace a person. Bryce, that sticks. That sticks a man in places he didn't even know needed healing. You see, when a man finds a woman who brings him calm in the middle of his chaos, she becomes more than just a partner. She becomes his anchor. She becomes that steady voice when his world is spinning, the one who doesn't panic when things go wrong, the one who listens instead of judging, supports instead of tearing down, stands still when everyone else is walking out. That kind of woman, the one who creates an environment where he feels safe to be real, where he doesn't have to pretend, where he can breathe, she don't ever leave his heart. Even if they part ways in life, her presence lingers because what she gave him was rare. Every man reaches a point where he gets tired of the games, tired of trying to impress, tired of wearing a mask. And when he meets a woman who accepts him as he is, but also inspires him to be better, that's the woman who becomes the turning point in his life. She's the one who saw potential in him before he even saw it in himself. She didn't scream for attention, didn't beg for love. She just loved from a place of strength. She gave him consistency. She gave him emotional balance. She gave him direction without trying to control him. And that right there, that's the kind of influence no man forgets. A man may date a lot of people, but he'll never stop thinking about the one who made him feel steady. She might not have had the loudest personality, but her energy was peaceful. She didn't bring drama, she brought order. She didn't stress him, she calmed him. She didn't make demands, she helped him level up. And even if he didn't know how to handle it at the time, even if he walked away or lost her due to his own immaturity, he'll remember that feeling of being grounded, that feeling of being better because she was beside him. That kind of love imprints on a man's soul. Sometimes you'll hear a man years later talking about the one that got away. And if you listen close, he's not talking about the most beautiful woman he ever dated or the one who partied the hardest or the one who said all the right things. He's talking about the one who brought peace to his storm, the one who loved him when he was still figuring himself out, the one who didn't judge the mess but stood by him while he cleaned it up. That's who he thinks about when he lays his head down at night and wonders if he'll ever feel that again. So when a man finds a woman who gives him stability, who doesn't add pressure but helps him manage it, who doesn't take from him but pours into him, she lives in his heart rent-free. No matter how far he goes, no matter who comes after, no matter what changes in his life, her presence stays because stability is rare. And a man who's tasted peace will always crave it again. That's why that kind of woman is priceless. And that's why her memory never leaves him. Man might not say it out loud, but the truth is, he's always looking for peace. Life pulls him in 1,000 directions. Work, expectations, pressure, pain from his past, fears about his future. And through all that noise, through all that stress, the one thing his soul quietly longs for is a woman who makes it all feel still. A woman who doesn't make him feel like he has to perform just to be accepted. A woman who brings stability, not chaos. And when he finds her, that kind of woman becomes unforgettable. She lives in his heart rent-free, not because she demands it, but because her impact is too deep to erase. She doesn't just walk into his life and change what's around him. She changes what's inside him. When a man meets a woman who brings stability, he begins to feel something he probably never knew he needed. He feels safe. Not the kind of safety that comes from locks and alarms, but the kind that comes from knowing he can be himself and still be loved. He doesn't have to be perfect around her. He doesn't have to hide his flaws, wear a mask, or constantly prove his worth. She gives him room to breathe, and in that space, he starts to grow. He may not recognize what's happening at first. He might even take it for granted for a while. But over time, he starts to see it. He starts to notice how his life feels calmer, how his mind is clearer, how he's making better decisions just because she's around. She's not controlling him. She's centering him. She doesn't bark orders. She sets an example. She leads with kindness. She listens when he speaks. She pushes him not to break him, but to build him. And every time he falls, she doesn't say, "I told you so." She helps him stand again. That's the kind of woman who changes a man's life forever. You see, it's not about how loud her presence is. It's about how deep it settles in his soul. She could be quiet, gentle, reserved, but her energy speaks volumes. It speaks peace. It speaks loyalty. It speaks, "I got you," even without words. And that kind of emotional security, that's not something you forget. That's not something you replace. That's something that marks a man's heart in a way nothing else ever has. So even if life moves on, even if they go their separate ways, even if years pass and miles stretch between them, that woman stays. She shows up in his memories, in his regrets, in his quiet moments. He might find other people, he might move into other relationships, but none of them feel quite the same because nobody else gave him what she gave him. Stability, peace, strength without noise. She's the one he thinks about when the world feels heavy. She's the one he remembers when someone asks him what real love felt like. And maybe, just maybe, she's the one he wishes he had treated better when he had the chance. When a man grows and matures, he starts to realize that it wasn't about how much fun they had, or how fine she looked, or how exciting the chase was. It was about how she made him feel about himself. It was about how she believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. It was about how she loved him without trying to change him, but somehow still made him want to be a better version of himself. That's a rare kind of love. That's a rare kind of woman. And that's exactly why she never leaves his heart. So when you're that kind of woman, when you bring calm, direction, and genuine love into a man's life, know this: whether he tells you or not, whether he stays or not, whether he understands it or not, you live in his heart forever. No rent, no expiration, just permanent space in a place he may never fully open to anyone else.